Okay, yeah, sorry, D. Right, before, this is why I was talking about the infinity part before. Before we were talking about picking numbers from 1 up to n, and the greatest common divisor of a and b was 1. That got us to 6 over pi squared.
Yeah.
Okay? But now I need to pick a 2 out. Right? I want the greatest common divisor to be 2. And that means I can factor a 2 out of this and this, and I'm left with something with the greatest common divisor of 1. Okay, so when I put the 2 in, how high am I counting up here?
Well,
I'm not counting up to n anymore.
You're counting up to 2n.
I'm counting up to 2n.
Here.
Do you see why?
Yeah, because you're putting the 2 back in.
I'm putting the 2 back in here. So before, when the greatest common divisor of a and b was equal to 1, and I was counting up to n might have been one of my numbers.
Yeah.
When I want the greatest common divisor to be 2, I can factor a 2 out and go back to my greatest common divisor being 1. But now when I put the 2 in, I got to go up to 2n. So what's my probability of selecting any one of these numbers from 1 up to 2n now?
Well, now it's 1 over 2n.
1 over 2n. And I got to pick 2 numbers, right? So it's 1 over 2n squared of selecting the 2 numbers. And what was it before?
1 over... Was 1 over n squared?
It was 1 over n squared. Okay. So how much have I reduced my probability by picking the 2 numbers?
It's 1/4 now.
It's 1/4 of what it used to be. Okay. So GCD of A and B equal 2 seems to be 1/4 times 6 over pi squared. And if that's going to match GCD of C and D being 2, which is also 1/4 of 6 over pi squared, what's the probability that these guys
Pi
match?
squared.
What's the probability that they match?
What do you mean that they match?
That the greatest common divisor of A and B equals 2 and the greatest common divisor of C and D equals 2.
Well, you're going to have to multiply this.
Okay, what's it going to be?
So 1/4 of 6 over pi squared squared.
Okay. 1/4 of 6 over pi squared. And how can I simplify this in terms of what am I multiplying the 6 over pi squared by?
Well, you're multiplying that by 1/4 squared. Or, wait. No. Because you're doing 1/4 times this times 1/4 times that.
Yeah.
So, you're multiplying this by... You're multiplying 6 over pi squared by 1/16.
Do you see why? Why?
Because you have two 1/4.
And that creates a 1/16.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Alright.
6 over pi squared.
So I found the probability that they both are equal, the greatest common divisor is both equal to 1 was 6 over pi squared. Squared. Now that they're equal to 2, it's 1 over 16. What is 16 as a power of 2?
It's 2 to the 4th.
2 to the 4th.
Times 6 over pi squared. What do you think that they're both, the greatest common divisor is equal to 3 is going to be?
Maybe 1 over 3 to the 4th times 6 over pi squared.
How about they're both equal to 4?
Maybe
1 over 2 to the 8th, because 2 squared to the 4th.
Yeah, or what would be another way to say it?
1
2 to the
over 4 to the 4th.
4 to the 4th times 6 over pi squared. What's the common term in all of these?
Well, 6 over pi squared squared.
Okay, and what's left when I factor that all out?
So
1 over 2 to the 4th
1 over
plus 1 over 3. Wait. So you're factoring out a 6 over pi squared, right?
Yeah, from everything.
So 6 over pi squared times
Yeah, times what?
1 over 2 to the 4th plus 1 over 3 to the 4th.
Not quite right.
Hmm?
Circle my 6 over pi
So-
squareds.
So would you have 1 plus 1 over 2 to the 4th?
Why?
Because you left with 1 here, and then this is just 1/4.
Right,
When-
and 2 to the 4th isn't where we start.
Yeah.
Where do we start?
We started here.
And how many 6 over pi squareds do we have there?
1.
Okay, how many 6 over pi squareds do we have here? Can you tell me? How many 6 over pi squareds do we have here?
Well, 1. Well, we have 2 total.
How many, what's multiplying my 6 over pi squared here?
You have, well, nothing.
Something is.
1.
1. What's multiplying my 6 over pi squared here?
Well, maybe that.
What is that?
1 over 2 to the 4th.
Which is sometimes known as.
So 1 over 16.
Okay, so how many 6 over pi squareds do I have here?
1/16.
I have 1/16. So first I have 1, then I have 1/16, then I have 1 over 3 to the 4th, which is
1 over 81.
1 over 4 to the 4th.
I think is 256.
Okay. So that's how many I have on each one. So how are we doing? Oh, we're almost at 6 minutes. Okay, so let me just write this out, what we have now. I have 6 over pi squared times 1 plus 1 over 2 to the 4th plus 1 over 3 to the 4th plus 1 over 4 to the 4th plus all the way on to what?
Well,
1 over infinity to the 4th.
Okay, the whole sum of these.
So this,
Okay, so now we're going to go to the next movie.
okay.